Hello, this is Matt, Craftsman Hardwood Flooring out of San Angelo, Texas, and I'm here to describe this floor that we did. A lot of labor went into it, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and we're really proud of it. This is for our showroom, and we're a custom wood flooring company, and we wanted people when they walk into our store to really see what we can do, showcase the creativeness that we have, and we really wanted their inspiration to explode when they came into this showroom. We wanted them to be imaginative and creative. We like to do custom work, and so that was something that was important to us, to showcase something that we can do that just had a little bit of elements of different things, and we had a good time doing it. It pushed our skills. We hadn't done anything quite this complex before, so it was fun to do, fun to experiment. What we did with this floor is it's basically a woven hex pattern. We cut out the hex shapes, and then we have this woven white oak. So I've seen this pattern in white oak before, and I hadn't seen it in the walnut mixed together. And so I thought it would look beautiful having the mixed species. And so that's what we did. We added this border into here to showcase what we can do with our border work, and we wanted to have some bent elements. So we added this double helix type pattern to it, and we have kind of a little feature strip here, They're all the same width, and the background of the border has a 45-degree angle grain pattern to it, and we wanted to give something just to make that border pop a little bit more, and we also wanted to focus into the corners here, and we have this inset star. It's a nod to the Lone Star State. We thought that there's a little bit of a void there in the corner of that pattern, so like I said, this is a showroom floor, so we really wanted something that would make people think outside of the box, so we added that in. The grain orientation basically meets into the corners, comes out in the center of each border pattern area. It turns direction to face the other star. So there's basically 4 stars on all corners, and the grain orientation comes out from there. And a little element that we really liked was the corner of the woven pattern basically points to the star, and then the grain orientation shoots off that way. A little element that we really liked about this pattern was with the border was we wanted all the corners to match the same. It's a rectangle shape, so we had to shrink this side just a little bit on the segments, but we felt like it was most important to keep this looking symmetrical, so each one of those corners is identical. It matches with the woven grain shooting towards the star. When we were setting it all up, it just seems like it really balanced that way the best, and so we had fun with it, and it was a bit more work to get that effect, but we felt like it was well worth it. Our finishing process, we used 2 different color stains. We went over the whole thing with one color that would give the white oak more of a light effect, but still make the color pop. It slightly cerussed the grain just a little bit. That made the walnut look a little bit milky, but what we ended up doing was taping off all of the white oak, and we came back through we used a Boner craft oil, which is, you can put 2 colors on, and so what we did is we hand rubbed in all of the walnut with the darker color, just to kind of give more of that distinction, kind of help the grain to flow just a little bit better, and we really wanted that color contrast and that pop, so that's what we went for on this, and the overall effect has been great. We've had good response from our clients, and we're very excited to showcase this floor. This is the process that we use to create our pattern floor. We started off making our hex pattern. We used 2 5-inch planks of walnut and used a table saw sled to cut each one of the ends on both sides, and that gave us our hex shape. The next thing we did was the woven frame around the hexes. So we used white oak for that, and we ripped down this piece to width, and then we cut this side and this side using table saw sled. So that gave us our fill. Moving on to the border, this is a little bit more tricky. We wanted the grain orientation to run at a 45-degree angle. So this is actually a 4-inch plank, tongue and grooved together, cut at a 45-degree angle on both sides. That allowed us to get one continuous border at a 45-degree angle grain. So after we got this part put together, that is going to be basically the field of our border. We were able to show you how this looks. So that gave us this shape. The next thing that we did was route in the walnut feature into the center. So when this is inserted into the cradle, that allows us to use our router jig. So we had a router mounted onto this part of the jig, and this is adjustable. So we can adjust it this way, and the pivot point is also adjustable back. That allowed us to get the perfect arc on each increment so that each shape would end on the right points, so that when we hit our corners, all of our corners were identical. So what we did is we have a stop point on our router here, and our router is mounted right here. And when we have our adjustments all made, all we have to do is run that until it pivots to hit this point over here. And we have corresponding lines here, here, and here, and here. And that gives us all of our points of reference for each segment of our frame. So after we were able to do that, gave us this shape. We tested out on plywood first, and that's actually what gave us this jig template right here. So once we got it figured out exactly the size that we needed for our border, we used the router to cut all the way through our pieces of plywood. That enabled us to make our walnut pieces curved. So what we did is we ripped the walnut down into strips, and we wet them overnight for 24 hours. And when they were ready to go in the jig, we placed them in here and we clamped them tight until the next day. Altogether, we did about 77 of them, and that gave us just the right amount of bend so that when we placed them into the jig, we would have the shape correct. So that's the overview of the process that we use to create this pattern.